Kamek, by Young God, is a bit of a wonky character, but as a general moveset he's set out quite well. He has a few unique abilities that I'd assume would have come out in a more polished mod, and overall, I think he's fairly nifty. Let's get into the reasons. Kamek's moveset is pretty chock full, to the point I had to reorganise my control scheme to stop some commands from being doubled up. So if you're playing on controller, you might want to check the multiplayer buttons are given their own separate command. As you would expect from a Kamek mod, a significant part of his moveset is his broomstick, which can be utilised to fly around the map. It has a fairly simple control scheme: press spin in air to bring it out, then use jump to ascend and spin to descend. As it turns out though, having a character who has brilliant horizontal and vertical mobility in a platformer, and then giving them access to this incredible mobility at almost any time, actually makes him quite overpowered. Indeed, Kamek is surprisingly probably one of the more overpowered characters I've seen in a while, because their broom takes a fairly long time to actually run out of energy. In areas like Castle Eggman Act 1, I was able to fly over the entire bridge portion, and the tower leading up to it, without touching the ground, which is in pretty stark contrast to the difficulty I had with it while playing its other mods. Look at my 500 sub special if you want proof. Throw in Kamek's significant magical proficiency, and the character only becomes more ridiculous. Kamek has 3 projectile spells to be used in combat, 3 general utility spells to be used for mobility, and a cute little bonus spell for fun. Let's start with combat magic. Pressing spin while on the ground will cause you to do an area of effect earthquake spell, which, to put things lightly, rips enemies apart. Seriously, ignore characters like Shadow or Blaze, people well known for their offensive capabilities. This 30 variable sitter is the real greatest combatant. Basic enemies are rendered a total non-threat by this attack, and if it is a boss that stands in your way, then Kamek has 2 more spells to ruin their day. They are the Fireball and the PlayStation buttons. I don't know the actual name of the attack. And other than the Fireball's bouncing capabilities, these are pretty much the same thing. Press toss, flag, or fire to ruin an enemy's day from a distance. Moving on to the general utility spells, we have the ability to minimize, gigantize, which is absolutely 100% not an actual word, and the Robo. Minimizing is, by Young God's own admission, basically just the mini mushroom. Pressing custom 1 will cause you to become smaller, allowing you to fit under small gaps, jump higher, and for reasons as inexplicable as when Mario does it, allow you to run on water. This is pretty fun, especially with the lowered camera angle allowing you to see the game from a different angle. I'm as much a sucker for it now as I was when Flicky did it. For some reason though, this ability is able to be used as much as you want, as often as you want, but the inverse, gigantizing, still not an actual word, requires a 30-second cooldown to use it, for the grand total of 4 seconds. Admittedly, it does make you invincible and able to break bustable floors and walls, but not spikes, that's reserved for the earthquake spell. But I still think it's a little strange. Finally, pressing custom 3 will cause you to summon the Robo, a magical orb of mystical properties. Summon it in open air, and it functions as you would expect, allowing you to run over enemies like you want to commit vehicular manslaughter. But summon it in water, and it ascends into the heavens. But probably the most impressive spell in Kamek's arsenal is his ability to change the weather in a zone. As is probably the case with most of the abilities I wax lyrical about in these reviews, this is probably way easier to pull off than I act, but I haven't seen anyone else do it, so whatever. So far, I found that you can change the weather to snowing, raining, a thunderstorm, and to clear skies, with the particle and sound effects you'd expect. I'd assume that this is as easy as simply changing the background layer of every skybox and applying some form of global particle effect, but again, the fact I haven't seen it in another mod means that I'm going to continue to praise it here. Kamek's sprites look pretty good, very professional, but as seems to be a running theme with most of these Mario mods, they are all supposedly ripped from another source, so I can't give too many points if that is true. I don't play many Mario games, so if someone could verify whether these claims are true, would be much appreciated. Compared to some of the other ripped sprites I've seen, this is pretty well done, as I can't see any areas where there are white lines surrounding the sprite, or ghost pixels that haven't been deleted, which is a fairly common theme I've seen with other mods that choose to do this. In general, I don't think there's anything wrong with choosing to rip sprites instead of making your own, as making sprites is a fairly time-consuming endeavour when you don't have a member of your team dedicated to them. I just don't feel that I can really give praise for doing it either. Overall, Kamek is a very fun mod. He can be a little maximalistic, although I don't believe he's quite at the level of someone like Green Eyes. That could be attributed to the fact I renovated my control layout for this guy, but I think the comments probably still stands. He has a lot of little flourishes that I perhaps wouldn't have expected from a character who has mostly been developed by a single person, although he isn't as polished as some of the other mods I've coded recently. I think a 9 out of 10 is accurate for him. Thanks for watching the video, thanks for getting the channel to 600 subscribers so soon after reaching 500, and ciao.